Okay, folks, welcome back. So we got all the, I think we got all the figures cleaned up yesterday. Well, these are filthy. Yeah, yesterday, this morning. Let's just do one final check, and then we'll glue these guys on pennies. Super glue them on pennies. They don't have very much flash to begin with. This is a weird pose. Could be Colonel Waddington for all we know. Okay. See what we got in the super glue department. I don't know how much is left of this one, but that one's good. John Peter, welcome. Welcome back. You welcome back. I've been here the whole time. No, not doing any tours right now. Touring with John. Touring with Johan. Stuff comes off pretty easy. I guess if you don't live in the United States and you want to base your things on US pennies, how do you get the coins? Tours start in May. I think that's just too hot for me. That's just too hot for Europe for me. Because in the wintertime, every place we wanted to, the air conditioning was turned off. Which you would need air conditioning if they didn't have the heater blaring. So we just turned the heater off and opened the windows. But if you go in the summertime and there's no AC, yeah, you're screwed. There's nothing you can do about that. And besides, there was enough tourists as it was when we went. I just don't understand, you know. I don't, and this happened too. I went to this department store in Spain, and it was probably, say, 40 degrees outside. 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what the hell it is in Celsius. I'm not going to figure that out. And inside they got the heater going. So instead of like, you know, people are dressed for 40 degrees. You come inside and you're like, man, what do you do with all these coats and shit? You know, like, don't even turn the freaking heater on. Just see what temperature it turns off to and you save money. It's for the planet. This will be your last year. Next year, I dedicate my life to wargaming. There you go. Have you had people do the tour consecutively with you? Or is it just pretty much one-offs? Or have you had somebody that says, you know, you had such a good time, they came back and did it with you? And did any of those people that came back and did it, had you wished they hadn't done that? Oh shit, it's this guy again. You know? You dedicate your life to wargaming. You know, when I went to Canada last year, I guess technically it's year before last, the one thing I didn't like about Canada is it just seemed like I wasn't in another country. And I kind of felt that way too about Britain and, well, not Britain. Those people with the driving on the wrong side, that's just unforgivable. That's a crime against humanity. You can't even cross the damn street. But everything else was great. In Spain, I didn't feel out of place. I felt like I belonged there. You ran 5 tours, and often people go on different tours. This year, most of my customers are repeaters. Yeah, but do you do like cross-country stuff, if I remember correctly? You don't like just do a tour of like one city or something like that. With RVs, right? I really liked the guides that we had at Madrid and Gibraltar. And we also did one in Toledo, and we also did another one in the Alhambra. And you don't need a tour guide if you're going to a place that is well laid out and you know some of the history yourself. If you don't really have a clue, yeah, you kind of need the tour guide. I mean, unless you want to, miss everything. RVs in 3 weeks. Well, I know what 3 weeks of vacation's like. You know what I forgot to do when I was in Europe? Use a bidet. I had a couple chances to do it, but they didn't come with a manual, so I just opted out of it. I was really impressed with the Spanish beer, man. Your people did a great job of teaching those Spanish people how to make beer. All right. See how these guys fit on here. If I need to cut anything off of them. Although I did have a saying on my trip. We went and I actually had one meal that was bad, and it was because we were in a hurry, and it was at the hotel. That's probably the reason why. But we ended up ordering like a pizza or something like that. It's like the Spanish have no business making pizza, and the Italians have no business making beer. And some of you guys may disagree with me, but every Italian beer I've ever had sucks. Yeah, the Spanish can't do pizzas. Your wife was surprised in Barcelona. Ha ha! Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. She's 5'4", and suddenly she could look over the heads of the other women. Well, 5'4" is just fine if you're a girl. A dude, yeah, you're Barcelona. Britain. There was a lot of tall people in Britain. Like I'm technically above average height by a couple of inches. And I can tell you on a daily basis, I never, if I feel like, man, I feel kind of short, there's some really tall people around me. That's not usually the case. Did you tell her how's it feel like being normal? Being able to see over some other people. Well, I'll tell you one thing. one thing's for sure: that going to Europe cured me of. I'm not going to a third world country. I've just got no interest in going to any other third world countries ever again. I'm just like, let's go to another European country. Let's go to Italy or France or somewhere. Actually, we have a lot of Great Britain still to see. We basically, we didn't go there to sit for that. That was just kind of a freebie. Tallest people in the Dutch. That's what I've heard. That's why they put them on a tiny country. Just to fuck with them. That's what I've heard. Danes are pretty tall too. Another tiny country. But if I walked away from it, there's only one. If I had to narrow it down to one thing, only one thing I didn't like about Europe, the parking there is pitiful. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I know you guys are used to it, but that's just absurd. Cars are too expensive to put them through all that. Everything else was cool. Hey, that's a pretty good list. I thought it actually went a lot better than I was expecting. I didn't think I was going to have such a positive experience about it. Yeah, this is just on my one trip. I could go there again and maybe hate something else. Patty Green. Hi, Tony. Short ass. Does that mean you're short? Good to see you enjoyed UK and Europe. I did. It went better than I expected. I really didn't expect it to go poorly. I really was concerned about the jet lag. I really, really genuinely was. And we hit the ground running and never stopped. Going to a World War II game in the Netherlands on the weekend. Glad I enjoyed the IWM, Imperial War Museum. It could have been better. It could have been, the World War One section was really good. And I don't think that the World War II lived up to it. But that's okay. I mean, there was only one thing I could go to. Like I said, London was a freebie. I'm glad we went to Westminster. That was really quite amazing. And I didn't see the sign where you weren't supposed to film. And the guy's like, hey, you're not supposed to film in here. I'm like, sorry. I'm a rule follower, but, you need to make your things a little more clear than that. And the other place you can't film or take pictures of is in El Prado. And I started thinking, why do places not let you film or take photos? Because a lot of places would let you take photos, but it's not flash photography. Okay, because the flash photography would probably just speeds up the degeneration of the artwork, right? But why wouldn't they allow you to take a video or regular pictures? And I started thinking about it. And the only thing I could come up with is that if you're the curator of this museum, or you're one of the people that's in charge of the displays at this museum, you don't want a bunch of people taking substandard photos and video of what's in your museum and make it look like the stuff that you have there isn't as good as it is. That's like the only logic I could think of. And I mean, I guess that makes kind of sense. You don't want these amateurish guys like taking photos of this, like, oh, that artwork's not that much. I'm not going to go to that museum now. You know. Rules written by Phil Barker. I hope he's doing okay. Prado is awesome. Spent many good hours there. Loved El Greco. There's not a whole lot of El Greco there. I went out and found the burial of the Count of Orgaz when we went to Toledo. I definitely wanted to search that out. That was definitely on my hit list. And you could take photos of that thing. But I love the Titian stuff and the Velasquez stuff, and it was really really cool. And I know who all those people are, so like it makes sense. And the girls were going in, and I'm like, all right, I remember he's the son of the other guy, and he's the one that couldn't have kids because his mouth, and like they started kind of adding to their little building blocks. I don't know why Goya is held in such high regard. I mean, he's not terrible, but he's no Velasquez. He's no Titian. It's a little on the. He's no Picasso, thank goodness. God, I hate Picasso. I actually had one Picasso in there. It was like in the middle of everything else. I'm like, it just looks like even more like trash compared to all the stuff on there. And there's a ton of religious art. And the biggest problem that I have with religious art is it's painted out of period. So if you've got something that's like, the Three Wise Men or something like that, that's painted in the 1400s, they're all going to be wearing the wrong stuff. Because in the 1400s, they didn't really have an idea what people were wearing, in 1 AD or 0 AD, however you want to look at it. So, even though the artwork might be really not, you're not seeing an accurate representation of anything. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't bug other people, but it does. It bugs me a little bit. At least a lot of this stuff is well painted, But it's like if you have a book on Alexander the Great, and in like an Osprey book on Alexander the Great, and in there's this painting that's painted in Renaissance time about Alexander taking the siege of Tyre or something like that. But he's painted in the 1500s by maybe somebody who paints really well like Michelangelo. And it's painted well, but he's got all the wrong equipment on him. So like, why even bother putting that in there? Because it's like you're sowing misinformation. It's the same sort of thing, So. See, I was thinking, okay, so why can't you take photos in there? I'm like, that's the only thing that comes to mind. Why you couldn't do it. And I guess that's fair, The only museum we really we went in and kind of in and out, really didn't have a whole lot of time to spend at it, was the British Museum in London. And it's not that we weren't interested in anything that's in there, but it was like, we got there like an hour before they closed. We're just trying to squeeze it in there to see the mummies and stuff like that. But the lighting in there was terrible. And I know the lighting's probably bad, so it doesn't, decompose mummified stuff. But it's just kind of hard to freaking see what's going on. So we didn't get much of a chance to spend there. And there was like a one wing that was like the Parthenon or something like that, and they had all these figures that, life-size figures that were from the Parthenon there. but they're all rubble, like they're missing heads and stuff like that. So I figure it's probably like, they showed up there and like, hey, what do you want to do with all these extra figures? Well, I don't care what you do with them. They're not really part of this. So they just scooped them up and brought them to London, you know. But there are all these figures which are, well done. All that sculpture is, realistic looking. And who's this clown? 1 cent. Who's it got? Paul Bunyan on it on the one side. I don't know if these pennies are worth anything, but ain't nobody got time for that. We're gonna base them just the same. I was expecting from some tourist doing something ridiculous. Like we were in one of the Smithsonian Art Museum. Was it the Smithsonian? I think it was at Smithsonian. No, it was the National Gallery of Art, which I guess might be a Smithsonian thing in D.C. And my wife was tired that day that we went, so she sat down at this bench in one of the galleries and just kind of watching people. My daughter and I went off and we wanted to go check out something else. And which reminds me, there was a British artist. I'm pretty sure there was British at El Prado, and he was really good. He did portraits. He was really, really freaking good. I forgot what his name is, but I guess I could look it up. So we went off in the wing, and my wife was just sitting there, and she notices a tourist. I'm not going to tell you what country they're from, but Spain was flooded with them when I was there. And this lady went and actually touched a painting, and you would have thought that the world would have come undone. As I've actually had something, I've been looking at paintings, and I'm a painter, right? So one of the things that I love looking at a painting is, you're looking at it, and then I kind of look at it at some other angle, so you can kind of see the brush strokes and kind of see what's layered on what. It's kind of fascinating, right? And just kind of try to deconstruct how this was put together. It's one of the things I really like to do because, well, I layer, but my layers aren't thick. But they don't want you getting real close. This lady went and freaking touched the painting. Oh my gosh. He shut down the whole wing and called in security and, The Greeks want those headless sculptures back. Well, unpopular opinion. The British took a lot of those things from places that they shouldn't have. But had they not done that, they may not have survived. So, depends how you want to look at it, you know? When they're in London, it's kind of hard to be blown up by ISIS, you know? So, yeah, those headless things aren't worth looking at. And that's what it is. It was just probably just a pile of rubble. Because, all kinds of stuff had happened in the Parthenon. I mean, what the Turks used it for a ammo location and it went up in flames. So, oops. Sorry about that. Oh, a gripe. Not really a gripe. I was disappointed at Westminster Abbey that on many of the tombs of the kings that are buried there is an effigy of them carved on the top of the sarcophagus, so to speak. But the tombs are like over, they're maybe the top of them is like 10 feet off the ground, so you can't see them. It just kind of a shame, just kind of a shame you couldn't see that. I saw Alex though. Yeah. Well, I wasn't looking for him. Like that could only be one person. Old Alex. But a lot of this stuff is spread all over the place. Like if you want to see those like busts of like Caesar and Octavian, Sulla, etc. They're not all in one place. So, and that's the one thing that's the one thing that really is kind of surprising. When you go to a museum like that, you may know what the artwork is, but you don't have an idea of how big it is. So you'll be like, oh, okay, that's not a very big painting, or shit, that's the whole damn wall, So it's really kind of interesting. The ones that are really big, I'm always fascinated by, because if you're painting it, you gotta like, okay, let me stop. Let me go walk 30 feet away from it and take a look at it and see if it looks good what I'm doing, Kind of like I would say, let me take my glasses off so I can see what I'm doing. Or let me put them on so I can see what I'm doing. You're painting something that's 40 feet across, 30 foot tall. You've got to, you got to pace yourself. But I really didn't have a chance to look in advance what was there. I did do that with Prado. I'm like, okay, I know I want to see this. I want to make sure when I see that. I wanted to go see Velasquez's Siege of Breda, which was a pain in the ass to find. And everybody I asked, they were like, you wouldn't think they'd work in a museum. Like, how do you not know what that is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's just do the rest of these. Like, oh, it's in that room. And you go to that room, it's not there. Oh, it's over here. I'm like, holy shit, man. Because everything was, on a time schedule. Like, all right, we can only spend this much time here. We can only do this much time there because, you got to see other stuff. The place that actually I was not as impressed with, I was expected to be more impressed with, and my daughter would probably disagree with me on this, was Toledo. And the reason why I didn't like Toledo was, it's not like I didn't like Toledo. All of the shops basically had the same shit that all the other shops. I thought that was just an American thing. Now, there's probably some vendor that went in there and it's like, oh, we can fill your shops with, this kind of stuff, and it's all made in China trinkets. So none of the shops had anything really cool. And, man, those streets are really uneven. Not only were they up and down, but they're really even. That's one thing I realized, that the walking on the pavement, on the paving stones, is a problem if they're uneven. If the up and down doesn't really matter so much. It's like you go and you search for where the path is um, of the smoother rocks and you walk on those. Because one of the things that was really common is they would have like these in many of these cities, they would have these sidewalks that had um, this pattern that had these smooth, almost granite-like rocks on the edges, and a couple of cross members like that. And the space in between them was almost kind of like river rocks that were stuck in to give kind of a pattern. And it looked nice, okay? But, so you wanted to walk on the edge of the street where, so, your foot's not doing this. Your foot's not, as you're moving off, going at an angle kind of stuff. Just so you don't get tired. But there really is a curse on the There really is a curse on the British Islands. Somebody put a curse on there. It's like, and forevermore there will be this huge, mist that will envelop these mysterious islands that nobody can find. Oh, truly strange. Truly, truly strange. Okay, we're going to have to cut some of these guys back. These guys' bases are way too big. Did I see the copy of Trajan's column at the Brit? I did not. I didn't. All we had time was I wanted to see the Assyrian stuff. I wanted to see the mummies, but then I couldn't see them because it was really dark. We literally could only spend an hour in there. There was just a ton of people. A ton of people. We used up all the time at Westminster Abbey. We spent a long time at Westminster Abbey on that day, and we don't regret it. That was really amazing. And I didn't use the guide or anything like that. It was like a guide you can listen to, and wasn't very useful. It was like, I know enough about who's who that I didn't need a guide. So I went on ahead, and the girls were looking at stuff and listening to things. They came back. All right, remember, this is this guy, and this is the other one, and What is this? This is the extra thin liquid control. Ultra liquid control. I hate that one. It's watery as get out. I guess we could use this slow one. That hallway they have at the British Museum that has all the Assyrian, what happened in the hunting thing. That was pretty cool. That shit probably would have been blown up by ISIS if it wasn't there. So you can look at it oh, the British shouldn't have taken that stuff, but if they wouldn't have taken it, it might have gotten destroyed. And it's not like you can make another one. It doesn't work like that. But that museum had a lot of people in it. The Imperial War Museum had a lot of people in it. The Imperial War Museum had a lot of kids. It's like, bam, I'm coming to this museum and it sounds like a damn lunchroom. I don't know what this guy is doing. He's on his knees. No, I don't want any more. I'm full. I don't know what this German is doing here. Man, it's early. Man, where the hell's old Ben, man? I ain't seen Ben in weeks. We didn't get a chance to go to the tower. There just wasn't enough time to do everything. We didn't get a chance to do the cruise on the Thames. I mean, this guy's really spread-legged. Spread-legged Nazi. The daughter wanted to go to that big toy store, whatever the hell it was called. Couldn't go to that. I saw Woolly Pusher. Woolly Pusher the second, or was it the third? If you're gonna get knocked out, if your tank's gonna get knocked out, I'm not renaming a tank that. This guy is extremely spread-legged. He's proud of his stance that he's in. I was actually surprised how short, lengthwise, a T-34-85 was. I thought it was pretty short. The gift shop actually had a good selection of Osprey stuff. These guys are like a team. The assistant. Some of these guys may not work on pennies at all. He's questionable. That guy's not going to work. He's not going to work. He's not going to work. He really won't work either. This guy will definitely fit. We did see a play in London. That was excellent. Book of Mormon. That was really funny. Officia. You saw the Ronin T-34 last summer along with our two fiberglass M4s. Yeah, I totally would have gone to the Tank Museum if it wasn't out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, the only thing I could have combined that with would have been Stonehenge. Stonehenge is out that ways ish, but I don't dare drive in a country where everything's backwards. That's just a recipe for something bad happening on your vacation. And that video that I took of the Imperial War Museum, I couldn't really narrate anything that I was thinking of because there were just too many other kids and stuff. Used to go to a con at Bovey and war gamed under the 75mm L70 of their Panther. Brilliant. There you go. That's a hell of a gun, man. I wonder why they never made an anti-tank gun, but it probably wouldn't be able to move it. It'd be as heavy as one of those barn doors. Really couldn't even move those things. Got a prime mover. Yeah, that guy fits. Now I'm going to try to put that guy on a stand. Hold on 1 second, I'll be right back. don't know about these Caesar figures. Well, we'll see how they end up turning out. I don't know that we're going to get any painting done tonight. Just put these guys on the stands and maybe base some guys in the morning. I never finished painting the one AfriCorps guy that I had. I got lots of the Brits and Commonwealth. I got half a line and continue doing the Brits and Commonwealth. You finished those Goths and now back with Napoleonic French hussars. They view the Napoleon as the bad guy over there in Britain. Not being facetious, I'm like literally literally curious. Probably need to leave this one big just to be safe. Well, I resisted getting bit by the, hey, let me paint a Spanish army while I was over there. I'm not surprised. I'm pretty disciplined. Although I did have a dream last night. I think it was last night, where I was actually caught playing a DBA game. I'm like, yeah, I won't be playing DBA again. You're dreaming of returning purple. I dreamed that I returned to the purple, that I played some game at another convention, and then I realized, oh shit, I was telling people I'd never play again. How's that gonna? Like, I'm not gonna do that. I don't say I'm gonna do something and don't follow through. I don't. That's not in my nature to do something like that. And I've got nothing against Phil Barker. I'm just like, I can't make it better, man. I just got tired of all these issues coming up and. The group got really frustrating. It turned into like, I'm a member of this group. What's it called? Airbrushing for beginners. And these dumbasses, you'll give them advice, and they just keep on harping. It's like, well, if you freaking know what's going on, if you're going to be ignorant of what other people tell you, then I'm not going to bother, giving you information. Well, here's you answer somebody's question. Well, that's not what the rules say. Okay, well then you figure it out then, pal. People that have read the rules read the rules once, and all of a sudden they're experts of Phil Barker's games. I miss the days when you didn't have to hear from ignorant people. Ignorant people would just, you'd never hear from them. This is a new one, 2019. I missed your videos. They taught me a lot. Well, why don't the other people that are still playing DBA make videos? Why isn't Mitch making videos? Certainly he has time to do it. I'd rather make videos than run games at shows. Running games at shows is going to be the same people that show up every time. And you can't get the number of people to ever grow. At least if you're making videos, like people all over the world can enjoy them. But I'm glad I'm not doing it anymore, as I can't do World War II stuff in that. I'm a World War II guy. Yeah, it's been almost a year since I played a face-to-face game with somebody. A year? No, I played at the last show, but with the old group of people. I don't miss it. It's too difficult to do it on a weeknight. I think you don't realize your talent. I could make DBA videos but couldn't talk engagingly for hours like you did. It's easier than you think. Well, the first thing you have to know is you got to know what the hell you're talking about. And the second thing is you can't be one of these people that like, well, I'm not going to tell everybody what I'm doing because I'm going to give away my plan to win. Like, I don't care. Like, it's fun to self-coach. Like, to talk about, okay, well, I could do that or I could do the other thing. Like, it helps. It's part of my enjoyment of the game. It's really pretty easy. But some people are better at some things than others. Like, I never really had a problem ever in school, like standing in front of the class and talking about something. As long as you know what the hell you're talking about, it's relatively easy. What I'm not good at is writing a paper. Because I get writer's block. I don't know where to begin. And this sounds stupid. And, so I'm not. If you want me to write something, I'm not your guy. I not enjoy doing that. But talking about stuff, piece of cake. But some people are like, man, you're giving away your battle plan. I'm like, so? People have to understand why I'm doing the stuff that I did, what I'm doing. I'm not just arbitrarily doing stuff. I don't know that I have a gaming talent. My talent's probably more. I consider my talent more in the painting department. Anybody can play a game. And I forget shit all the time, unfortunately, with the rules. And it's really frustrating. I don't forget how to paint. Okay, guy is definitely slated for a bigger stand. And so are these. But one thing that really frustrated me about One thing that always frustrated me about DBA is it's a game that takes a really small amount of time to play compared to anything else. And I'm willing to show anybody how to play and all the tricks and stuff. And for my own nefarious purposes. My nefarious purposes, I want you to play better, so I have a bigger challenge, right? And you just couldn't get people to show up to play. People, oh yeah, I live in the same town, the convention. I'll be right there. Never would show up. And I'm just not a fan of saying you're going to do something and then you don't do it. I don't live my life that way. If I say, hey, I'm going to do this on this day and I don't do it, I've got a damn good reason why. And, I'll explain, hey, listen, I couldn't do this because of this. Because I've got faults, but I'd like to think that's not one of them. I was talking to somebody recently about an interaction they had with somebody in real life, and they didn't like that. This person just wasn't objective. They were closely involved with a certain manufacturer, and they were always defensive when somebody asked something about them. I'm like, yeah, I kind of noticed that guy's responses are kind of the same way. But that's why, not that anybody's come over me and say, hey, I'd like for you to paint some of our stuff. Nobody's come on. I hope nobody says that because I really don't want to do that because then I get, my creativity gets curtailed. But I want to do an unboxing, and if it's no good, I want to tell you, hey, this is no good, or these guys used to make a good product and they don't anymore. You know, that's particularly annoying when somebody makes something, when they do a really good job at something, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, let's just cut corners and make garbage. Like, come on, man, you guys were like top of the iceberg. You guys were great. Why'd you go and do that? Paint beautifully. Thank you. Love your Hindus. What do you think about DBF? I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about it. That the new version that they're doing? Well, I wouldn't be able to play. If I was still playing 3.0, I'd have to continue playing 3.0 and not play DBF or play DBF all the time. But doing both of them, I can't. I don't have the. There's just not enough of me left to do both. There just isn't. I think that if I would have still continued playing DBA 3, I probably would have made. I would have gone a different direction and made some house rules. Because I'm not really a tournament player. The fact that I played in tournaments, well, that was just an excuse to use my own figures in combat. But I'm not a tournament player. I don't want to enter painting contests. I'm a member of this model group here in town, and these guys are always after me. Oh, you need to go to this, and you need to enter in a painting contest. I said, I'm never entering a painting contest again, because I just had I had a bad experience with it. I had one painting contest that I entered a long time ago. One of my figures disappeared. One of my 20mm figures disappeared. It was a rifle grenade, German rifle grenade guy. I can't even remember what the guy's name is, but he disappeared. Boom. And another one, I took it to Historicon, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll just enter one of my DBA armies. And the guy wanted to give me some lip because I had entered too many figures. I'm like, it's 12 stands. That's what the army is. Well, that's too many figures. Okay, well, let's see your painting. Oh, you don't paint. Oh, got it. I just need to make myself happy with the results and motivate the rest of you guys so that we continue working on our hobby. That's it. It's my way to give back, and I don't really need to take a lip from. There's lots of stuff I don't like on the internet. I don't say anything about it. I don't want to discourage somebody. That could be somebody's hobby that keeps them from turning into an active shooter. I mean, there's lots of stuff I don't like. If I'm going to say something bad about somebody's paint job, it's going to be about Picasso. DBF is the 3.0 version of Hot to be published this year. Yeah, I've only played a couple games of Hot, and the mechanics just need to be consistent throughout all the games. That's the part that's really the uphill climb. Okay, I think this width is okay for that. I think it's okay. I think this size would be. I think this size would be just fine. I think this size would be just fine. That guy works too. This is the guy that's a little. He's gonna need to be on a bigger one. And the guy in the brain gun probably needs to be on a bigger one too, a little wider one. That guy's okay. Not worried about the mortar dude. Hey, whatever it makes somebody happy, They're the ones that need to be happy with it. I mean, the reality is, I never play DBA again. I'll never play any game as much as DBA ever again. I mean, I got like freaking 2,500 games in of one on one. I mean, I can't do that. Any other game would take longer. I just, I don't want to play. I don't want to play a game again where you run into a problem and you can't change it or make house rules because you're playing in a tournament, and to do so is basically going to create an issue for you on down the line. I'm just not interested in those compromises anymore. It's got nothing to do with Phil Barker. I mean, I think the world of him. I think he's a sharp guy. He came up with stuff that I would have never come up with because he thinks differently than I do. I'm not an abstract thinker on any stretch of the imagination. So there's some of those, this is +1 on a Tuesday, assuming there's a full moon before. If not, it's a -3. I mean, that I would have never come up with stuff like that. That's just not the way that I learn. I would have never come up with a game that was a D6 game. I'm a percentile guy. But I'd rather have a D6 system than a 2D6 system. Gotta go now. Have a good day. You too, man. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you. I wonder if you guys actually thought that I would have had a different interaction with Europe than I did. I think it went really well. I mean, there's a couple of situations. The parking is just atrocious. The roadsides are a bit wonky sometimes. Okay, and these guys are all laying prone, but this guy's okay. This guy's okay on this narrow ass stand. I'm actually going to punt on these guys. I think I need to put some goop down before I put them in there. Okay, well, we're going to let these guys dry. I think that's all we're going to do for this evening. Appreciate you guys coming by there, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.